Housed in the Church of the Macarena is a statue of the Virgin Mary. She's been here for over 300 years, crying in sorrow at the death of her son Jesus. At Easter, the Holy Cross is presented to the crowd. Carried on a throne, she begins her journey into the night. And as she moves, the statue seems to come to life. It's as if the likeness of the Virgin has become her presence. And you can see that in the astonishing reaction of the faithful. But this adoration breeds suspicion, because here in Seville, there are some in the church who fear that the image of the Virgin has stolen the limelight from the Virgin herself.
The big question is, what are the worshippers worshipping? Is it the idea of the Virgin Mary, who somehow is out there beyond the image? Or are they worshipping the statue itself? That's to say, this is the idolatry question, which almost all religions have faced.
The hierarchy of the church has always been anxious about reactions to such statues and the expense lavished on them. It has seemed uncomfortably close to the worship of images prohibited by the Ten Commandments.
Catholic Church has to be very careful about those people whose faith is not very deep, because the problem is that people in front of a statue think that that's all. The danger is that they believe that everything is that, the statue. And we have to be careful. That's not the way. It has been blessed and things like that, but there's a statue. That's a representation of something higher. You have to believe that through that statue, you go up to the divinity.
It's a basic and perennial problem of religious art, which all religions must face. So too in England. Through the 16th and 17th centuries, Protestants and Catholics fought over this land in a conflict whose visual scars can be found in churches across the country.
On the 9th of January 1644, Oliver Cromwell, who was then governor of Ely, marched into this cathedral in what is one of the most mythologized and probably highly embellished incidents in the English religious civil wars.
Cromwell's attack was just one assault in a long campaign against the images at Ely. For these reformers, the worship of holy images was a Catholic superstition, a distraction from the pure word of God. The images at Ely had to go, and here in the Lady Chapel, there remains evidence of widespread destruction on another occasion.
Lots of different kinds of iconoclasm have gone on here. The original stained glass windows are one obvious casualty, but they've also gone for the figures of saints, of kings, and the scenes from the life of the Virgin. Sometimes the whole sculpture has just been removed.
Liberated, you might almost say, from the figures of saints and prophets that once crowded the walls, and with its clear stainless windows, the Lady Chapel has been transformed. giving us another version of beauty. This is the Blue Mosque. There are no idols or images of living creatures. Instead, the walls are alive with the most ornate patterns. And laced into the scheme are some of the most extraordinary examples of monumental calligraphy in the Islamic world.
Here, we're seeing God represented in visual form, but not as human. Here, God is displayed as his word in the Quran. It's God in the art of writing. Now, Islam is by no means the only religion to use writing as a way to negotiate the problem of how you represent the divine. The Christian Gospels, for example, can claim that God is the Word. But in Islam, more than anywhere else, we see the image becoming the Word and the Word becoming the image.
In the face of all the debates and prohibitions on images, Islamic calligraphy evolved to redefine what an image of God could be. No single religion has ever managed completely to resolve the tension between word and image, but there are some moments when it might just seem possible. These wonderfully appealing images were made over 500 years ago, and they're from the pages of a Jewish Bible. What's so remarkable is that they dance around a text that is dense with warnings about idols and images, and yet they flout them in the most charming and beautiful way.
I've got this extraordinary book open on the page of the second commandment, the one that prohibits idols. Now, there have been centuries of debate and disagreement about what that prohibition actually meant. But in this case, unless there's an appallingly flagrant contradiction going on, it is not taken to forbid a quite extravagant set of images.
But what makes the Bible so precious is that it's a testament to a brief but extraordinary moment in Spanish history when Muslim, Christian, and Jewish traditions came together in a really productive and imaginative way.
If you look at this book, you can see in some ways the Jewish artist really celebrating the mixed traditions of medieval Spain. And some of it really clearly has roots in Islamic traditions. Then you discover when you look carefully that it's got this insy-wincy writing all around it, micrography it's called, which is really distinctively Jewish. So it's a wonderful bit of cultural blending in itself. And there are bits of Christian tradition, a wonderful picture of King David. Now, the man who did these extraordinary images very proudly signs his name over a whole page.
But this is much more than a name. Here, Joseph ibn Hayim is addressing the fundamental issue of word and image that divides so many religions. And in his own way, he settles the debate. In his hands, they're one and the same thing. The poignant fact is that under 20 years after this page was completed, the Catholics expelled the Jews from Spain. This Bible survives not only as a witness to integration, but also to religious war.